Hi everyone, today we're going to review 4 tips that can really help you ace the PI Cognitive Assessment. We'll also solve some sample questions together. The tips are taken from my popular blog article about the topic, which I shared as a link below the video. There you can find even more useful tips and free resources. But now we're going to focus on the first and most important 4 tips. Tip number 1. You must be familiar with each of the 9 question types that show up on the real test if you want to do well. It's not necessarily about mastering each question type, it's more about knowing what you're good at and what makes you waste too much time. Since the test has 50 questions and a time limit of 12 minutes, you want to familiarize yourself with all 9 question types in order to identify your strengths and weaknesses. This will help you perform better on the real test, as you'll be able to make quick decisions on whether to skip a certain question or not. In addition, since the test prohibits the use of a calculator, you have to get used to working with scrap paper and to perform mental calculations in your head. You need to dust off certain parts in your brain if you wish to solve such question types under time pressure. The only way to do this is by practicing in advance. We will solve these questions together in a few minutes, but for now let's move on to tip number 2. You have to take a full-length practice test before stepping into the real assessment. This is a game changer. You're not only getting used to the immense time pressure, but you also gain confidence in navigating the test's format. Above all, you're giving yourself a chance to truly maximize your score potential. If you take a few practice tests with the right guidance, you'll notice a very clear pattern. The first attempt will be a disaster. The second attempt will show a nice improvement. And by the 5th test, you will be able to double your score. For example, to move from 14 to 28 correct answers, which will take you from the 20th to the 80th percentile of the population. You can expect even better results if you show perseverance. Moving on to tip number 3. Speed is key. The PI Cognitive Assessment is all about completing as many questions as possible in 12 minutes. Your main goal is to see all 50 questions so that you increase your chances of solving as many questions as possible that fall under your strengths. However, you are not supposed to correctly solve all the questions in the allotted time. You don't want to run out of time at question 13 and discover that you haven't had a chance to look at 37 other questions on the test. Many candidates fall into this trap and underperform. Tip number 4. The most common feedback I get from candidates who are preparing for this test is the pure frustration from having to deal with a short time frame and to solve questions and topics that they haven't seen in years, if at all. Not to mention the need to deal with fractions and calculations without a calculator. Rest assured, if you follow the right guidance and don't underestimate your abilities, you'll be able to pass this test with an honorable score and to avoid a disaster. No matter your age, no matter your proficiency level, no matter how slow you are, if you follow simple rules, you'll avoid embarrassment and you'll get a decent score. Check out how we can help you practice for this test. We have free practice resources, an awesome prep course with A to Z guidance, and coaching services. 12-Minute Prep is listed as a recommended resource among universities and recruiters. Our courses have been taken by over 150,000 candidates to date, and the average rating across all courses on the website is 4.5 out of 5. Now back to the sample questions. Here we have 3 out of the 9 question types that are seen on the test. The first one is about finding the lowest value. You need to quickly calculate and estimate the size of the fractions in each option. The best way is to convert them all to the same format, for example, decimals. The second question is a number series. Here, if you look at the differences, they form a series which alternates between positive and negative numbers. The last difference must be -6, and when we deduct -6 from the last term in the series, we get -1. The third and last sample question is from the abstract reasoning section of the test. Here we have to figure out the relationship of the first pair and then to apply that relationship on the missing pair. The green line can be seen as rotating anti-clockwise, 2 vertices each time. The arrow, on the other hand, can be seen as moving clockwise, 2 vertices at a time. In addition, the circle in the center swaps colors. This leads us to choose answer option B. I have listed some great practice resources in this video's description below. Make sure to check them out and see you on the website.